Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, this one is kind of like an ongoing thing with me. Artificial intelligence and its effect on our life and stuff like that. And let me just say, I'm not a hater of it or anything like that, because it's something that's basically, if we continue on our path, it's going to be inevitable. I mean, it's already starting to occur. Um, but if you think about it, we've been using a form of artificial intelligence for a while, and that's software programs and stuff like that. Uh, it's it's not the intelligence that created it was not artificial, but the programs and routines that those things do took over tasks that uh, the printer, for example, an affordable printer tied in with the computer, type interface. There used to be whole offices of women, usually women, typing pools that would sit there, and if somebody wanted to make a copy, of a memo and send it out to a bunch of different branch divisions and everything, they would have a bunch of women typing the same memo. You've probably seen pictures of it on TV. Oh, buddy. He's wild crap mode. He's still the effects of catnip. He's still experiencing that. Um, but anyway, that's just one of the things it took. It's taking a lot of the routine and mundane things that we would normally do, and replacing it with ones and zeros. Software, artificial. An artificial combined with mechanics, and you start having robotics, and then artificial stuff. Artificial intelligence is basically trying to mimic the human brain in the way that we think and stuff, but we're giving it capacities that a human brain would never have, the ability to recall, but we're also leaving out important things like emotions. I think right now it's at a simulation stage, like a monkey imitating something. They might not necessarily be experiencing the same thing, they're just imitating what's going on. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is the images that we're starting to see because of AI. And I've seen it a lot in, I'm just going to say the word, pictures of guns, like revolvers and stuff. I haven't seen it on knives lately, but I'm sure it's going to start happening. It's an AI generated image of a gun that does not exist, but the title will say the top most needed guns in 2024, or the most bought, or the most promising, or whatever. And the image that is in that thumbnail or whatever, that thing does not exist in real life. AI is taken. If you look at the words, the letters don't make sense. It's printed in a form where a normal trademark would be and all the information, but it's AI generated. And you see it a lot also in bushcraft um, thumbnails and stuff like that, where uh, a person normally looks like this, and then there's an artistic rendition of them. I use something similar, kind of like that, on some of my transitions between videos and stuff and clips, and it's called like sketch fade, and it'll take this image right here, and it'll start turning it into, like, the more you progress, the more it'll start looking like an outline sketch artwork. I mean, that's cool. The thing about AI, like I said, it's uh it's it can be useful and it can be misleading. I mean, for example, like if they say this is the best knife that you need, and it's a picture of a knife that does not exist, has never existed. Now, knives are pretty easy, to make and stuff. They're not as complicated as um, revolvers and stuff like that. But it's just someone, that was my business to know. It was my hobby, and it was my interest, and it was at one time, my job, was to know various different firearms, and to experience them. And when you see an image of something that doesn't exist, you go, wow, and the closer you look at it, the more you see that uh, it's not real, you know. Eventually, it'll get to the point where the things that you can't, distinguish from it, reality from artificial intelligence. Again, that's just kind of fanciful stuff. He's still scooting around. I think it's because of the change in weather. We had a cold front come through, and he got wet. And he's got catnip, and he's just being a wild cat right now, buddy. Tell him, buddy. Tell him what a wild cat you are. He's looking at my cord. It was dangling down. But yeah. Anyways, well, what I was thinking about that is, I I don't necessarily like images of products or something that don't exist. You can change your own image to make it look more like you were a wise old man out in the woods or something, And there's little elves and pixies, all around, and you're using AI to do that. That's fine. I mean, it's just that when something like a product, something with a title on it, and often a lot of times the narration on a lot of these, it's just stock footage of different things, but it's an AI generated voice, and you can tell it's an AI generated voice because of the way they pronounce things sometimes. They pronounce it a way no human would, A normal human person that had supposedly that much skill in that, let's say the English language, would not pronounce that word that way, And eventually, artificial intelligence, if it is true intelligence, that is the ability to learn from your mistakes, adapt, and adjust. So, like I said, if things continue to go on like it is, eventually, I think that artificial intelligence is going to be more integrated into our everyday life, whether you like it or not, because it's a time saver. It's an effort saver, and robotics and androids and all that stuff like that. That used to be futuristic, but they're building them, because what are robots really? They're the perfect slave. You don't have to pay them overtime. You don't have to worry about them establishing a union and wanting rights. You don't have to worry about strikes. All you have to do is worry about them is breaking down. And if you're building a robot workforce, you design robot repairmen, which have all the spare parts and stuff. And eventually, that is replaced by a robot that does the repairman's job. And in many ways, there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it because all these decisions a lot of times are left in the hands of very few rich and powerful people. And what is more perfect than a world that you can control that touch your button, but you're the only one that has a switch, or you or a few of your elite cronies are the only one that has the on-off switch. And it's going to be passed off as well. These are dangerous things for humans to do, and we need to replace them. It's kind of like I like the original Blade Runner, and last night I stayed up too late and I watched Blade Runner 2040, 42 or 49. I don't know. Anyways, it supposedly in our future, but science fiction has a really odd way sometimes of becoming reality. Not all of it, but I mean a lot of it does. They get it wrong a lot of times, and that's why I said, this is just a ramble. I'm just bouncing it off the top of my head. That the main thing that if you want to relate this to knife stuff, is that I guarantee you I'm human. That as far as I know, I may be a simulation. It may be a damn good simulation. And they end up find out, that I was just a program running. I don't know, but I sure seem to age and act like a human. So it's a pretty good simulation if it is. But and that is because humans are imperfect. I mean, if you look at my apartment. It's not going to look perfect because I'm old. I live alone. I don't have anybody that to, take care of but myself. And so sometimes routine maintenance, of the apartment to make it look good doesn't happen because people don't come over. You know, I rarely have anybody come over and everything. So uh, it's up to me. And sometimes, yeah, it can. I had a comment, one comment. You can get a thousand good comments, but you can get one bad comment, what you consider a bad comment, and it's usually somebody's opinion of the way they think you should live your life. You shouldn't be buying this knife because it's made by the Chinese, or you should you should do this. I don't care what it is, especially if it's like your physical appearance or something like that. If you're slightly overweight, I'm not, but I mean I'm using this as an example. You're slightly overweight or you're not the ideal weight. I guarantee if you got a YouTube channel, somebody's gonna post a comment that you're a fat slob or something like that, and you need to spend your more time on a diet than you do knives. There are people out there that that's all they want to do, man. They want to drag you down, and they know that the negative comment has a much stronger effect than a positive comment most of the times. If you're susceptible to that, it's all in how you react to it. Uh, I use the example also one time when I worked at Harris Corporation in San Antonio. It's a defense contractor also, but this was the microwave division, so we were building a lot of transmitters that go into cell towers, wiring them up and stuff like that. And it was a crew, of various people, and we had a Vietnamese guy that was like the team lead at the time. And Harris Corporation was trying they're trying to do all the innovative stuff that they had learned from other companies and stuff. Like, let's do peer reviews. And what they initiated was anonymous peer reviews with comments. So if you're a leader of any situation, like in the military they handle it differently. If you're a sergeant, you have a chain of command and everything, and you have a way of handling stuff. But still, if any organization like that, if you're in any way effective, you're going to piss off a lot of lazy people or stuff like that, and there's usually not much that they can do about it. But you give them the opportunity of the poison pen, and make it anonymous, and all it is a recipe for disaster. And for example, our team lead was Vietnamese, and most people in there were a mix of Hispanic or white or black. I mean, mostly Hispanic, but a mixture of races in there. He was the only Vietnamese. There might have been, I think there was another 2 or 3 in different departments, but he was the only Vietnamese went in there. And when they started doing this peer review stuff where you could leave comments, somebody left a comment about him that was negative, and they printed it. I mean, whoever was doing all this stuff, they give you the form back, and it's anonymous, and they give you your overall rating. And usually it's pretty high. His was fairly high, but he had one guy, I knew exactly who it was. The guy that was doing it just to mess with him. And he wasn't a friend of mine or anything. I told him, you shouldn't be doing that, but I figured out exactly who was doing it. But hey, I'm not the boss. I'm just a worker. You guys work it out amongst yourselves. But that guy, I think his name was Lee. Lee took it so bad. I tried to tell him, I said, look, man, 99% of the people gave you a favorable rating. It's only this one jerk that you've got an issue with. And I tried to explain it to our boss, too, at the time. I said, look, man, this is a bad idea. I've seen it happen before. I don't think anything positive is going to come out of it. And he, tried to argue, because I think it was his idea. It was some, college-educated professor type that thought he knew everything about management because he was taught it in a course. He'd never really dealt with human beings before, just books and stuff like that. But anyway, It didn't work out well. The guy didn't handle it well, and in my situation, I just put up a post of Shadow looking up at me, and somebody's like, "You need to clean up your kitchen, my God," or something like that. And it's like, look, dude, you don't eat here, you don't live here, you want it clean, you clean it up, you know. I don't give a crap. But I thought, why did that trigger me? And it's because, uh, it's another one of those. It's designed to trigger you. If if you're not steeled against it, I've lived long enough that I'm retired. Number one on my list is not super cleanliness. All right, I'm sorry, just gonna admit it. I mean, you can look at my table, how organized I am, or lack of. A lot of times I just toss stuff up here. And when it gets too bad, I start decluttering. All right? That's the way I live. Do I like it necessarily, everything? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I'm not stressed over it. I don't worry about, this, I'm not OCD. This one is not over here and this right. I don't have enough exact space over here. Eventually, yeah, if it gets bad enough, I straighten things out. Even like with pets. I keep the floor clean enough for them that they're not eating strange stuff off the floor. I try to make it safe for pets, but I don't have children. I can understand if you've got children, or if you've got a wife that does it all for you. I've seen some people that do that. The place looks immaculate, and yeah, that it's good that you've got somebody doing all your work for you. But I don't, and that's the way I live, and you know I try to keep it cleaned up sometimes. I try to straighten up, but I tell you, man, clutter is a problem, especially when you're in a small apartment and you like to collect things. I can collect anything, man. I like acorns all of a sudden. Pow! I got lots of acorns. I like flashlights. I like knives. I like lighters. Old lighters, new lighters. It depends on what you want. Well, if you've got all that stuff, you've got to have a way of organizing your stuff. And you can ding me on that for sure, because a lot of times I am disorganized in my knife collection. I think of a knife that I've had, or I see a video of a knife that I've reviewed before, something like that, and I go, where is that? And sometimes that knife was given away, and I'm looking for something that's not there. And other times, like I found a knife, my small cotton sampler. I've only got one of them. I love that pattern so much, but I only got one of them. I lost it. I couldn't find it. It fell between two cardboard boxes, a little small space like this. Only because I had a flashlight and I'm looking around like, what's that shiny down there? There it is. There's the cotton sampler. It could be something like this knife. I might look at this knife sometime. It might go somewhere, and you'd think, usually it's the bigger knives that bother me. I can see a little knife disappearing because, they can disappear anywhere. But if you lose something big, you're like, where is that thing? It's got to be at least as big as mine. I've lost machetes in here. Misplaced stuff. It's because things get put on top of things, or you set something down and you forget about it. So anyway, I don't know why this got into a long. It got from AI to I'm not AI. All right, I'm imperfect, and I'm not gonna be. I'm old enough that I don't care what you think. Really, honestly. I mean, I'd like people to like me, but I'm not gonna cry if some one or two person out there that's got an issue with people being happy, or has got an opinion that everything's got to be exactly the way they like it to be. Hey, man, you know what? You keep your environment the way you want, and I'll keep mine the way I want. And I know I'm not talking to this person, but like I said, the majority of the people that watch this, a lot of these people are drive-by comment makers. If you see a lot of them, they're either bots, or they just come by and they just like to drop a little, a little pain and anger, seed here, here. I'm gonna drop this one, see what it does, like a little grenade. They want to see a lot of damage, they want to see a lot of suffering. Why? Because they're not happy. It's them. They're the ones that have the issue. And that saying is true. Misery loves company. There are some people that are so miserable that if they see you doing something, they'll get the impression that You're directing everything directly at them, that you're talking directly to them. Well, if you're miserable, yeah, I am talking to you, you know? This is about you. But from the majority of the people that watch videos and stuff like this, they don't care about the drama. They don't care about all that other stuff. They just want to see what you have to say about a knife. They don't care, you know, if you take a picture of a cat and the background, you know, is cluttered or whatever. I mean, I find videos like that interesting because when I look at old movies and stuff, I look at the background a lot of times. I look at stuff that I forgot even existed, you know, like different types of phones and appliances and stuff that you just don't see anymore. They were very inefficient, huge, big, gobbled up a lot of power. But that's all we had, you know, back then. So, yeah, sorry for rambling so long on this. I just wanted to say, you know, that that's a lot of things that gets a lot of people is negative comments and trolls and stuff like that. And I try not to let it bother me. And this last one, you know, there's some legitimate uh, stuff. I was aiming at the floor and at a cat sitting on a plastic tub, you know. Yeah, you know, the floor might not be. I put cardboard down on a lot of theirs because it's just easy to recycle. You know, I just put the stuff down there. If it gets dirty, you take it and throw it in the trash, and you put brand new one down there. It's a lazy way of doing stuff. But like I said, I got better things to do than worry about how my videos are gonna appear to everyone in the world. You know, somebody is not gonna like something about you, your voice, your appearance, the way you handle a cat, the way you don't handle a cat. You'll get thumbs down on stuff. Occasionally you'll get negative comments. You know what? I mean, that's just life. Like I said, there are a lot of. We shouldn't let negative, bitter people control us. You know? We shouldn't let. It's easy to pull those strings and make people pissed off. It's a lot harder to make people happy. You know? To make people have a little bit of joy in life. And I don't know, I guess there's just this envy or something of happy people. They know they can never be happy, so they want to make other people unhappy. And they just, you know what? Uh, if I saw something like that in a background where I didn't like something, uh, I probably wouldn't even leave a comment. It's just because I don't want to inadvertently harm somebody or hurt somebody or cause their feelings. I'm not, you know, I'm not thin-skinned, you know. I mean, well, I bleed, you know. When a cat cuts me, I bleed, but I'm not so thin-skinned that words are going to bother me and stuff. But again, this is one of those things where uh, sayings are not always true, where they say that sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. You try that against somebody that's been falsely accused of something. It's just words. Can never hurt you. People have been executed because of false execution. False accusations. So yeah, words can hurt you. You know, in this case, the only way the words can hurt you is if you let them. You know, if somebody makes a comment about you, your appearance, your hobby, what you do, what you like, and everything, just realize that's their opinion. And if you didn't ask for it, you know, you've got a right to tell them, hey, I can sit here and look at your life, and you in particular, and come up with, you know, probably 1,000 criticisms if I wanted to. What good is that going to do? Maybe one of them will sink. It'll be like a little fish hook in you, and you'll be like, ow, every time, or a thorn, every time I move around, this hurts, it bothers me. It's because you're concentrating on it. It's designed, you know, it's just a little thing, little seed, a little thing designed to drop into your, it's more like mental mind game type of crap. It's designed to, you know, like get you when you're not expecting it. If it can elicit a reaction out of you right away, it's designed to slowly open up. And the more you feed it, you know, like a seed, the more you feed that anger and hate, the more it grows. And the deeper it gets in, the harder it is to dig out. You just got to let that stuff just not take root, in my opinion. You know, I mean, just brush it off, you know. Just know where the source is coming from. Evaluate your life. See if there's any truth to what the accusation has. And if there is, you know, deal with it in your own way. Don't let somebody else control your life, is all I gotta say. Because freedom is very hard to retain. It usually, if it's taken away from you, it's going to cost you a lot to get it back. Sometimes it's like it may take a generation, to recover from freedoms. Sometimes freedoms are lost and are never regained, and that's simply because if you allow it to happen. If you allow people to trigger you and all that stuff, then you're always going to be triggered. You know, if you allow people to tell you, in my situation with knives and everything, I'm just make suggestions. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm not telling you that my way is the best way. You find out whatever you like, whatever you want, and I'm just trying to show you the different knives that come into my life. So I'll get on different kicks. Sometimes I'll get into different types of knives, and I'll be obsessed with those, and then boom, they're kind of like back of my mind onto something else. And that's just the way I am. I'm imperfect. But anyways, I don't want this to take too long because it can take forever. But really, whatever your hobby is, whatever your passion is, if you enjoy it, and don't let anybody else tell you, that you should be unhappy with what you're doing. Unless, as long as you're not harming anybody else, you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, that's what everybody else can think, Give them the one finger salute, maybe the two finger salute, because it's none of their damn business, really, how you lead your life. It's your life. That's why it's called your life, If somebody else wants to run a knife channel differently, have at it, man. Go ahead. Free market. But as far as opinions and everything like that, I'd recommend you keep them to yourself, simply because it's not productive. A lot of times it's anti-productive. And if you know that, you're an asshole. You're doing that, you're an asshole. And none of my pleading with you or talking to you is going to get that through. I just wanted to let you know that I know what you are when you do that, and I think it's you can do better. I think you can do better with your life than trying to piss people off or trying to make people conform to your standards. What you think is, man, I've lived in third world countries. It doesn't mean I have to live like that, but I've lived in conditions a lot worse than what I'm living in right now. So I walk around barefoot, man. I mean, a little dirt does not bother me. I try not to get it, unhealthy and unsanitary. But the rest of that, hey, that's the way it is. I'm not going to be around much longer, I'm old. So I'm going to live my life the way I want to. And you guys can continue to fight over how you think the real life should be. I'm living the real life. I'm living my life. It may not be the best life. I may not have the best selections of everything and the best ideas and everything, but they're mine, And I try to tell you, they're my opinions. They're not etched in stone that you've got to do this or else, You're not cool unless you do this. So yeah, there you go. Sorry. I better shut this one down. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.